On today's show, we have Bill Barhydt, the CEO of Abra. Bill is a returning guest we had on back in 2019 and an inspiration for the space. Abra is also known as the bank of the future and offers a crypto brokerage supporting over 125 cryptocurrencies, high yield interest on cryptos, and a lending account that provides a low interest line of credit against your crypto holdings. So you guys are you broken down in like two avenues right now with like Abra exchange services, we'll call it, and then capital management?
Yeah. So we have our retail business and our institutional business. And on the retail side, we have just our straight up self-service consumer model where you can download our app and soon it'll be on the web and you can get up and running in a couple of minutes. And we also have our private client services for retail, which is for high net worth investors, helping people with tax strategy around crypto lending. And then we have our institutional services, which is everything from lending to our funds, which basically offer similar services on the high yield side and lending side, but now servicing a couple hundred institutions as well. We started a new subsidiary called Abra Capital Management, which we're a general partner in, along with some other folks that help run it. And Abra Capital Management is already managing tens of millions of dollars and growing fast. There's 5 funds involved. 3 are for earning yield on crypto. And so focusing on either institutions or trusts that want to go kind of we call it a K1 route versus a 1099 route, which has a lot of tax advantages if you're planning to hold for a long period of time. And then the other 2 funds are kind of our what's next funds. I'm using air quotes here. And what's next either in the token economy or in the equity world.
What are the qualifications for the listeners?
Yeah, these are traditional funds. And so it's accredited investors, institutions. We have offshore feeder funds set up for them as well. It's kind of a traditional asset management fund solution.
Awesome. And you guys have a rewards token, is that correct? The CPRX?
Yeah, we have as means that we've adopted it. We didn't create it. It was created by the Crypto Banking Alliance in Switzerland. And we love the project and it's very early. We're going to be making some announcements at Consensus in early June, explaining where we're going with this kind of next generation stuff. We're going to be working on payments and NFTs, and I can't give it all away now, but it's really all going to take advantage of CPRX as the rewards token, but not only for rewards, but going the other way, where you actually has utility and you can use it for payments and you get benefits by using CPRX for payments, and then really creates more of a community groundswell and network effect where it becomes a really strong feedback loop. The more people use it, the more it's worth. The more you want to hold the rewards and stake the rewards. And before you know it, like I said, you have this feedback loop.
Obviously, there's a handful of exchanges people have access to, right?
Right.
Everyone has different types of cryptos available, different lending services. What is it about what you guys are offering that maybe stands out or people can expect when they come to your platform versus going somewhere else?
I'll start out by saying when we built Abra, we said, okay, what do we want that's not in the market today? And the things that we wanted for ourselves were trust, meaning we could trust what was happening to the funds because we knew, and we were willing to basically tell everyone. There's not a lot of companies out there that basically explain how their risk management processes work. And I get on an AMA every single Friday and answer the same questions over and over again about risk management. And I'm fine to do it. I'm happy to do it. But most people don't. Right. And I want to basically have, lending practices that actually map to traditional fixed income risk management, variables, right? For things that most people in our space don't understand, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. Right. That's kind of part 1 and 2 kind of wrapped in one. Then to say, okay, well, what about lending practices for retail? Right. So how are you making decisions? And so we basically said, hey, we've analyzed this. And if I'm holding your collateral, there's no reason that for ultra low LTVs, I should even be charging interest because of the way our lending models work, because we're actually making money on that. And so, we actually were the first to even try to do that. Then we said, okay, let's strip away all of the super crazy advanced trading stuff that the majority of people don't care about and don't want. And so when we put that all together, we ended up with this super simple, fully integrated crypto banking solution that no one else had. The ability to trade, the ability to earn high yield, the ability to borrow, the ability to have a safe custody solution all in one place is still something that I feel that Abra has the best product in the world at, and in many cases, the only one available to certain consumers.
The more retail users you bring on, you tend to need to expand your customer service. And it seems to be a little bit of a problem in the industry as a whole, right? So why don't you kind of hit on maybe yourself, but even as the industry, like how can we work on that, moving forward?
That was one of the tenets that we talked about when we were sitting around the table saying, okay, what would we want for ourselves? Because you're being very kind in your comments. It's actually been a disaster. We said we want support to actually be a service benefit to our users and not feel like a black hole, right? We have live support options, 800 numbers. You're going to get a call back. We have live support in the app 24/7. To me, if you're asking people to trust you with their money, this is table stakes. And the fact that others don't see it that way is kind of shocking to me still. And it was kind of common sense to us out of the gate that we would invest the money in this because it would come back to us, magnified 100-fold.
For where you're at now, how do you expand that to people around the world and grow your user base, right? What is maybe the biggest challenge too?
The biggest challenge for us by far is awareness. It's not ease of use because I think we're already there in terms of having the easiest to use product. But if you don't know about it, then it doesn't matter, right? And so I spend an outsized percentage of my time now just focusing on marketing programs, awareness programs, public speaking, whatever it takes to get the flywheel continually moving. And then looking at some next generation stuff that I think also represents more of a person-to-person awareness model for Abra going forward to address that challenge. Because, like I said, the average user who's just getting into crypto for the first time is not yet there in terms of, I need to borrow against my crypto, I need to earn yield on my Ethereum, I need to stake. They don't even understand what I'm talking about. They just like, okay, what's the easiest way for me to buy a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin, a few $1,000s worth of Ethereum, get my toes wet and start educating myself. And so we've built a model which has a spectrum of capabilities from that newbie who has nothing to the advanced user who's saying, okay, I've got a couple of $1 million worth of Bitcoin and I want to borrow $100,000 against it to access the gains without paying taxes. And that's a wide spectrum. And so that's where we are in that exponential growth when you're going from a couple 100 million users to a couple of billion users.
When people are parking their assets with you guys, right? Like the question always comes really is how do you guys generate the yield, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side is there really that much borrowing demand out there? And especially if we're in a bear market.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great question. That's why I started out our discussion today just talking about risk management. It was the very first thing I mentioned at the beginning. And I spend an entire day a week just digging in to the same things over and over from a risk management perspective. What does risk management mean in the crypto space when you're generating yield? It means who are the borrowers? Okay. What is the borrower profile? What is the business they're in? What type of collateral in the crypto world are you taking? Meaning if you're lending dollars, how much Bitcoin are you taking? And what's the loan to value ratio of the amount they're borrowing versus the Bitcoin? It's like a HELOC loan on a house. What's the house worth? What percentage am I allowed to borrow? And that represents sound practices, hopefully from the bank's perspective, because we need the banks to actually survive, right? And flourish, because otherwise our system collapses. And so crypto has kind of developed its own similar system. And we are now, and I think Abra has really led the way in this, started to find that there are best practices. So, and then there's DeFi, which is this whole other big black hole, which is to say, how much are you allocating to DeFi? How are you digging in to the risks associated with those positions? How are returns on those DeFi contracts, smart contracts being generated? And so we dig in all of these areas with a big staff, which in the net aggregate gives you a risk management model that we lend against and then generates the yields that you see on our website.
Got it. So you guys pretty much generate yield from either your lending services or within DeFi. You're not necessarily building companies or using that off your balance sheet.
Correct.
For people that are listening, and obviously everyone's looking for yield in this environment, like what type of yield are you currently offering on what assets, and typically what are the lockup terms, et cetera?
Yeah. So for retail, it's near real time. Most people have 1 to 7 day access to funds in Abra Earn, meaning they can withdraw whenever they want. It's not like a CD product. We may do that in the future for higher yield, but right now everybody has the same. And for dollar products, it's anywhere from 7.5% to 8.5% interest. And for Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's anywhere from, I believe we're at 1.5% to like 3%. And then our own CPRX token is on staking is receiving 3%. And there's other tokens in there, but it's all in that kind of 3 to 8% range, depending upon what you're staking for the most part.
And you have that available for retail side and institutional high net worth side, correct?
Yeah, we have a partnership with Prime Trust. You're actually getting a trust account with them when you use Abra Earn. They're the ones paying the interest into your account. And I believe we're the only ones in the space doing that.
Any sites or anywhere to listeners go to?
Yeah, just you can download Abra. Just go to abra.com or go to the Abra Play Store. You can follow Abra Global on Twitter. I'm also active on Twitter at Bill Barhydt, and you can find us online.